Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the work session of April 1st, 2024 to start at opening, and we're going to all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Sabosley, please.
Okay, relatively short agenda tonight. We have about eight items, and half of them are executive session items. The first, under planning and economic development, is the Midas lot line consolidation plan. The Midas well, owned by Olympus Energy, exists over on Coxcomb Hill Road. Olympus has recently submitted a plan to do a unification plan for their two lots there. We're following the typical protocol here, so the first step is for council to accept this application as complete at the meeting on Monday night.
Okay. Anybody have any conversation, questions, discussion?
So just to be clear, this is a application not to drill a new well, it's to put a compressor on an existing well to support their existing operations.
So I think eventually that is their goal, but right now the only application we have in front of us is to unite two lots.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Okay, that's an agenda.
Next item under personnel and management, civil service resignation. We have received resignation from Ryan Wooten from the commission. Ryan was an alternate member of the Civil Service Commission. We're asking the council accept his resignation, and then I think we'd want to advertise for an alternate to replace Mr. Wooten on the board.
Any questions, any discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Next item is an executive session item, Public Works personnel issue. That will be handled in executive session. Also in executive session, a community development personnel issue. And last of all, in executive session, hiring a new police officer. So those are all items that council will cover in executive session. Moving down to finance, there are a number of items here. The first one is In Plum Magazine. We all know In Plum Magazine. We get it in our mailbox 4 times a year. The borough has 8 pages in that magazine. Staff has received a proposal from the In Plum Magazine. The In Community are the people that run this. So as we move forward, staff is recommending that we approve the agreement, which is for this year, 2024, and we have an option for 2025 to approve the extension of that agreement at no cost increase to the borough.
Discussion, questions? Agenda item.
Next item will be covered by council in executive session. Longwood at Oakmont, it's a payment agreement, payment in lieu of taxes. So that is an executive session item. The last item for our agenda next week under roads, equipments, and grounds, the borough has received an application to reopen the agricultural security area program. The law requires that once that application is received, the council acknowledge that at their next meeting. And that will start a series of events over the next 6 months for the review of these applications. We'll be advertising and posting property around the borough, notifying people that after the council meeting, the application window per the state law will be open for 15 days for additional applications or additional testimony to be submitted as to why certain properties should be withheld or not admitted to the ag secure area. I've never seen anyone submit that. But the agenda item would be simply to recognize the the submission of the application and start the time marker for the 6-month period.
And we've done this before.
This will be the third time. Yeah, I think the first time was just after COVID, just in COVID, 2021-ish. And then between 22 and 23, we had another application. So we're getting to be pros at this, but it is a long process. And eventually, as part of this, council will need to come up with an ag secure committee made up of farmers to review these applications. So we've done that the past 2 times, and we ask that we go through that again.
Okay, any questions, discussion? Okay, agenda item. That's all we have on the agenda. I see there's a lot of people here, and I know they want to talk, and we sort of have a feeling what it's about. So everyone doesn't need to repeat everything that's being said, but feel free to come up and express your views, and we do have some answers for you, so. Gotta hit the.
Press the talk?
Yep, there you go.
Great. So, Jeff Russo, 443 Shelbourne, and I'm here to talk about Jan Stemler, which is 449 Shelbourne. David, thank you for taking my call and having a good conversation, understanding our situation. So, as I'm not here to represent everybody, but more or less just to kind of open it up to the point of we're looking for guidance, we're looking for help. Has anybody not been in our plan to see what it looks like in front of this house? By raising hand. Anybody not seen it? So you've all seen it? Yeah.
Yes,
So we have pictures in case you didn't.
we've seen it.
So
I
you
can
can
speak
see,
for myself.
you can see it's a challenging situation. It's something that we haven't all talked about through the Edgemead Facebook site to first starting and saying, hey, how do we help this lady? How do we help Jan? Because apparently this started out in a situation where she had a pretty meticulous house when she first started. She was a school teacher. I know about her. She has, I can't think of the term right now, but what is it? She has dyslexia. She lost, stopped teaching in Penn Hills and eventually started getting into other things. She went to Sears, she worked at the painting department. So she, started dabbling, painting her house, and as she worked somewhere, she would buy and she would, make her house a little bit nicer. And she went to Home Depot and started landscaping, so you could tell. But eventually it evolved behind this fence where she started accumulating stuff. And I'd like to have a conversation with her. I just got her cell phone number tonight. So I am gonna call her, just to the idea of just say, hey, what do you see, Jan? Because I've known her long enough, she's commented on how meticulous we are with our landscaping and everything else. And we had a good conversation for years, but now it's become challenging to the point of, I'm kind of nervous to go knock on the door. How's she gonna act? Does she own a gun? I don't know. So I've been cautious about it, but I wanna have a conversation at least. I know that you have done some stuff where you've, cited her. I know that she's been in front of the magistrate. I know that
She hasn't been in front of the magistrate yet.
She has not?
No, we did cite her last summer.
Okay.
We did not get a hearing date. We have re-cited her based on the advice from Mr. Dice.
Okay.
So we are awaiting a date from the magistrate to have this case heard.
My advice, if you're gonna have a conversation with her, take somebody with you.
Yeah.
Don't go by
Well, I was
yourself.
gonna do it on the phone first, now that I have her cell phone, so I can
Okay.
do it via speaker,
Okay.
just so that there's nothing personally gonna be held against me. And again, it's just trying to get her view. Is she gonna tell me to forget about it, or is she gonna have a nice conversation, and what are you talking about? My guess is,
Okay, if you wanna meet with her, though, have somebody with you.
thank you.
My understanding is there's no family,
Not that we understand, anybody can speak to it?
no family available.
From what I know, there's another teacher from Penn Hills that lives on the bottom street that used to teach with her, and she has no living family except a cousin in Verona, but that cousin is preoccupied with other problems in her life, so there's really nobody that can come in and help her, but she is not like the person that I knew before. Her mind is deteriorating, her body is deteriorating. I don't know if there's something that we can do to help her with, like social services or something, to come in and look to see if she's a danger to herself. Because
We've contacted the county, and we were told that the only way that they would intercede is if she contacted them. So we have done several things. We talked in executive session. We're gonna do a few more things, and we're gonna do some law things. But we cannot go onto her property and force her to sell her house. We can't go on her property and physically remove anything there at this point. There may be a point in time in the future, but what we have been told, that will take us a very long time. And I'm talking year, not weeks or months. So we've been aware of it. We've had our field inspector visit it, and the prior magistrate didn't hear the case. This new magistrate hopefully agrees to hear a case against her. And then, you know, depending on how that goes, will tell us how to proceed going forward. Yes.
What that process is gonna be like, should she's cited now, let's say the magistrate hears it, what would be the process, if you can explain to us, just so that we know what to understand or to see?
Bruce?
Yeah. What happens is you go to the magistrate, oftentimes things get worked out there before there's a hearing, but if it has to go to a hearing, there'll be an adjudication of some sort, and I can't really tell you yet what that might be because of the circumstances here. But once there's an adjudication, she has 30 days to take an appeal from that. If she takes no appeal, it becomes final. We can then act on it. We can engage constables, other means to have that judgment enforced against her. Ultimately, it could result in the borough removing all of the debris, the bikes, the other things that are laying around the house, and charge against her property a lien for the amount of time and effort and energy that the borough has to expend to do that. None of that's very productive in the sense that it doesn't get anybody anywhere except it cleans the neighborhood up. We can't make her a better person. We can't stop her from continuing to try to accumulate things if that's her intention. But ultimately, I think we can get the property put into a shape whereby it won't look so unattractive. In other words, take away the accumulation of debris and items that she's got stored around most of the walls. That process takes a while, and if she contests it, then we're downtown in front of some judge, and then on to possibly a appellate court if she contests it. I don't sense that she's argumentative about any of this yet, but I suggest that she may not just be aware of what's going on. We're certainly gonna make her aware, and I don't know whether that's gonna bring out a side of her that might be litigious in nature. She may, at any time, she can stop and say, all right, I'll hire somebody to clean it up. But that's up to her. We're not in the, understand, this borough council's not in the mental health business. And, you know, we're gonna do what we have to do to clean up the property. That might not clean up her issues. And that's for, if she doesn't have any family, it might be difficult.
Bruce, am I correct in assuming from what I heard tonight that she's never paid a fine, anything towards this?
I'm not aware of her paying a fine.
Come up, if you want to speak, come up to the podium, please.
Larry Kimmons, 442 Shelbourne Drive. So if I understood you correctly, you cited her last summer?
I believe so.
Is that right? So why would the magistrate not?
Why don't you call her up and ask her?
That would be a question to ask her.
So beyond this case, we've, you know, with the different magistrates coming in and out there, beyond this case, we've had trouble getting actual court dates from the magistrate's office. We're hoping now with the new magistrate in place that we will get a court date.
The problem is, the magistrates are human beings, and they see a sympathetic situation. It's a taxpayer, it's a voter, possibly for the next election, and they don't like enforcing these kinds of things. I see this across the county.
So there's 200, roughly 200 homes in Edgemead.
Oh, I understand.
200 plus voters.
I understand.
This-
I'm not
this-
keeping track.
This isn't the address.
Right, so what is the right way, so like Jeff said, we're
We're
looking for
we're
guidance.
taking it to the magistrate. We have it there now, and we're waiting to hear of them or him giving us a court
So
date.
what is the right way for the people in the neighborhood to communicate their displeasure with the magistrate for ignoring the
Well,
citation?
what
Well,
we'll
she's
do is,
retired now.
yeah, but I think your question is, how do you get your point across to the magistrate?
Right.
Appear at the hearing, and we'll make sure that you all have notice of
Yes.
that.
Yeah, if you let Jeff know, he'll let me know.
Yes. Yes, if, when we get a court date, we will reach out to Mr. Russo or Mr. Matthews, and then they can spread the word to anyone who wants to show up. The magistrate's office is on 380 where it's always been. It's still there.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Leave it on, she's coming up.
Hi. I am Stephanie Russo. I live at 443 Shelbourne. My question is, you know how there's stuff that's accumulating there, but recently now we have rodents. There's a rodent problem, and one of our neighbors had a rat in her car, and it's still in the car. She can't get it out. The dealership can't get it out. But it's not coming from
They can't get the rat physically out of the car?
Stephanie. No.
Okay.
It's
Well, that's-
buried in there, but the rats are coming from her place. It's not coming from, so is there a way we can go about, go to the health department or something that we
Is
can?
there any food laying around anywhere?
I don't know if who knows?
Well, when you say the rats are coming from her place, do they have notes on their back saying, hey, I'm coming from over?
No, but she has beds in the driveway.
Okay.
That there's holes, so there's something living inside those
Okay.
beds. So it's, if nobody else has any problem around with rats, our only thing is it's coming from
Well, we
them.
can contact the Department of Health.
Well, I just talked to Dave, and even if we reach out to the health department, he said. they
Yeah,
probably-
unfortunately, over the last, 5 to 10 years, the health department is no longer responding to issues like this. They are overwhelmed as far as the number of issues versus the number of people employed there. I would love for them to come out and help us with many of the issues that they used to help us with. Just not the case anymore.
It wouldn't hurt to at least make a call and see.
Animal control stuff.
I mean, I agree with you, Dave.
Yeah.
They got bigger issues, but they may pick up on this.
That's good.
Busy housing and labor.
It's an infestation problem. I mean, she just has like couches and things that, animals can, and not just rats, anything.
They're nesting in there.
They're
This is
nesting.
that time.
Yeah, and then it's gonna spill over to our properties, so, all right. Thank
Now,
you.
we don't know what the inside of her home looks like. We don't know if it's all inhabited. We don't know that.
know that there was a.
You do, somebody's been in there?
Yeah, it looks exactly like the outside door.
Inside?
So that's what I was saying, she was a teacher and dyslexic, so she kept every paper she ever corrected. So if you go down in her basement, which is the biggest basement in Edgemead, it's filing cabinets, and then you walk like this. That was 17 years ago I did that, and none of that's been removed. So you can only imagine how much worse it's been. And again, it's, try to get this lady help. That's like Dave said, does she belong to a church, right? I'd love to see that we could reach out to somebody, but we don't know, so.
But understand, no matter who we send there, they can't go in the house unless
Right.
they're invited in.
Yeah, you're not in the tenant business. I understand that, and, I've learned enough from Bruce over the years that but I just wanted to see if there was anything else that maybe you saw in another borough, township, or something else that you've come across that, hey, this is how we help them.
We just got a drone picture. We had our police department go out and do a drone.
Yeah, that's what I said, here's all the pictures.
Yeah, we've got everything here. So, I don't see food or garbage bags, but I do, we'll do what we can. We already are,
Yeah.
and we will
No,
continue to do
appreciate
so.
it. Yeah, because you don't, we understand that.
I wouldn't want to look at that.
Yeah, that's the only thing is the rodents just recently showing up. It's Very few people, all of us really, so.
I get it.
Good. Thank you for listening. Anybody else?
Jim Beninati, 548 Cresthaven. So one thing that's been a little vague, and I'd like to clear it up if possible, is what's the legal mechanism that we're using for these citations? What avenue? I mean, we simply saying we're citing, what is the law, what is the regulation, what is the mechanism that you foresee for us to address this situation?
We have ordinances, and we have the police. We have ordinances, and so the police are enforcing the ordinances. And then they go to the magistrate after they're served. And, I mean, that's the avenue that, just like a typical citation.
So probably, and I have not seen the citation, it's either a local ordinance of ours or the property maintenance code, which is a national code that we've adopted. Either way, it's some sort of junk and debris citation.
Have you evaluated zoning citations? I mean, she expressed to me when I was helping her many times, because she doesn't have a phone, so she's always going to people.
There is no zoning issue here.
Well, so what if I decided to collect refuse on my property with the
It has
intent
nothing to
of
do with
selling?
zoning.
It's code.
It's good.
That's ordinance.
So is that the specific thing I'm?
Yeah, there's
seeking?
accumulation of waste and materials, things like that we can cite people for. Junk cars,
Yeah. High grass.
high grass.
There's ordinances that specifically pertain to residences, businesses, parking lots, everything. And so that's what we have to follow, and if someone doesn't follow it, we can issue a citation. And a
Which can
citation
result in a
could come
fine?
from the police, or it come from our inspector.
Bruce,
So I know Kevin Fields, who is our inspector, he's been there several times.
can we as a council amend the ordinance to make the fine,
You don't-
the penalties or anything else?
You really don't have to do any of that. It's already in play. It's in place. It's a matter of now just enforcement. Going out and citing her for the debris and other items that are laying around out there. And the first go-around is gonna be clean it up. If you don't clean it up within a certain period of time, you're ended up gonna get fined. If you don't pay the fine, you can ultimately be charged criminally then. And she could, it could, and again, I'm saying all this because this is the way it can go. It doesn't necessarily go that way. She could say, as soon as she gets the first notice, I'm cleaning it up. I'm gonna hire a contractor and get it all cleaned up. I don't think that's gonna happen, but that could short circuit everything. But believe me, there are ordinances in place, our construction codes, our various ordinances that are in place to handle situations like this, especially when it's outside and it's available to other people. The situation with things laying in the driveway that might accumulate with animals and mice and rats and things like that, we can take care of those things. So,
This is pure conjecture on my part, but from my conversations with her, she strikes me as someone who, although lives in a house that could probably sell for more than $400,000, she seems rather cash poor. I would be surprised if she can even afford to rent dumpsters and hire a contractor to take things away. So is there some point at which, and someone mentioned this before, the town would actually do it and just place a
yeah,
lien
we
on
charge
this?
it against her.
Yes.
We'd place a lien against her property.
We would, once we go through the legal process and we're able to get onto the property, if this is what it comes down to, we can. And then we
10
just
years
put a
to collect
lien,
it.
yeah, we put a lien against the property. So we're not gonna collect on that until the property is sold. So it may be years,
time, yeah.
but that's not a concern. That's not gonna stop us from doing what we need to do.
But that's not gonna stop her if, say we
do it
were to
again.
do that.
She can do it again.
She can do it again.
Right. So, I mean, the bottom line is, she needs to accept help. And, you know, until that happens, it's just gonna be a roundabout circle. So we're trying.
is an ordinance.
Would
Your
you
name,
state
ma'am?
your name and your address, please?
Yes, my name is Christine Miller. I'm at 458 Shelburne Drive. So there is an ordinance, correct? My question.
There are a series of ordinances.
So are you permitted to have grass clippings out in the road, have it delivered out in the road weekly?
No.
So this is what happens in the summer. And I'm kind of concerned because obviously we're going to start cutting the grass here, so.
There's somebody cutting our grass.
No, she has there's a company, they drop the grass clippings
Any
off.
landscaper she sees.
Yes.
She mulches with it.
Oh, I see what you're
She
saying.
uses that as
She
the
takes
mulch.
other people's yards.
And then in the fall, we had an issue where all of the neighbors were paying to have the leaves collected. And I watched the truck in front dump every leaf from that big truck into her driveway. I called that company and wanted to know what was going on. They said, I don't know what you're talking about. We have our own dumpster. We take care of it. I said, well, then why is it across the street? And shall I call my neighbors and let them know the money that they just spent is now dumped in her driveway so you can come back next week and clean up the leaves? So there's been a lot more going on. And I know now it's being brought to your attention. And
I
my
don't
only
know.
question is, what else do we do?
Well,
I mean,
that's what I was just gonna ask, the police chief's in the back of the room. Would that be something that you would want them to call the,
As far as grass clippings,
well,
A huge thing of grass clippings right outside my driveway.
you mean other landscapers dropping
Yes.
She eventually clean them up, or are they still on the road?
They eventually, yes,
And it stinks.
yes.
That's something, that's not a criminal act.
Let her go.
Going on to
She signed herself.
painting their house without their permission.
That's criminal trespass.
Would I have to prove that?
You have to call us when it happens.
So then there is no recourse here for any of us. I mean, we just, what would you do if this was at your home? If this was your neighbor, what would you be doing?
911,
Same thing you guys are doing right
trying to
now.
get it squared away.
me personally,
They have a body.
I would probably,
Can't say.
Back to you.
Don't say it, don't say it.
Cameras everywhere now.
You can see, I mean, this is, the photos that you see, that's what I see outside my home.
yeah, I understand.
And-
We're doing,
And I
we understand, and we are very, I swear, we're very sympathetic. We're trying to do everything we can do, but we have to do it.
Within the means, I
Yes.
understand, I've already called the Department of Aging, I've called all of these other agencies
Yeah, they don't-
myself, and there's nothing. There already a complaint made, sorry, you're out of luck.
Lanny, I have, somewhere I picked it up, that she was 302'd last year. I can't comment on that. No, I understand. But my understanding was she was 302'd, and I'm saying this, you can't comment. And Forbes released her, she signed herself up because she could sign herself out, and she was back. So people were trying to help her, but she's refusing it until, you just can't walk in and take somebody out of their home, you can't take their stuff.
You can't.
We're stuck.
And it's also, it's hazardous. God forbid something happens in that home. If there's a fire, I don't know how anyone's.
And look, and just so all you guys know, we know this isn't fair to you guys. It's terrible. It's just like we're trying to find a way, and it seems like.
And if there's anything else that we could do, we would all be more than happy to do it in any way.
We met in executive session, we talked to the police chief and the solicitor, and we've come up with a plan, and hopefully it's sooner than later.
In the meantime, if you see any criminal activity, call 911, we'll dispatch an officer, they'll go down, they have a body camera on, they can see if there's anything else going on. But many of the things that you're talking about are not criminal in nature.
That's correct. Like when her car, she sometimes has issues in the evening parking her car. That is a extremely dangerous bend.
Oh, I know.
Extremely dangerous because I live right there. I watch a child get
Well aware of it.
hit by a car several years ago. Well, at night, it's dark. Well, you're coming around, her car's out, her doors are open on the truck. Thank goodness for the Facebook page and the communication, so everyone's telling each other, be careful driving home.
Social media is a good thing to a point, but nothing beats calling 911.
Can I call 911 911 for that?
That's what he's saying right now. Yeah, he's
Absolutely.
He's offering it right now.
Really? Okay. That was something I would not want to bother you guys with.
No, bother us. That's what we're here for.
He says if you do that, then there's gonna be
And-
a
and
log.
We documentation. There's at least 5 parking complaints on file that I've reviewed for that address. At least 5.
Yeah, so there's some other behavior that is criminal that she does. I noticed. What she does is she hoards paint and she just starts painting things. She started to paint one of the neighbor's sheds. They didn't want it painted. She painted one of the ladies, painted the brick. I just noticed it this week. She painted.
Call 911.
Yeah, you gotta file a police report on that.
I didn't know it was there until she came the next day and told me.
I saw it, I just noticed it walking the dog this morning. I just noticed it. So, I mean,
I mean,
there is
So we don't monitor social media. I'm going to tell you that right straight up. We do not do that. What you need to do, is if you have an issue, is call 911. They will contact us. We will dispatch an officer.
And that adds to the case that's going to be, try to be built.
Painting?
You're welcome.
Question,
Yes.
for the 911 calls, because I've called personally, on a few different occasions, I didn't see an officer take down any information. How do we know that those calls are documented? I called when she painted the street and her truck was parked in the street. I called when she was out.
If you can give me the dates and times, I can find out from 911 if we were dispatched.
Because they seem to walk over to her, say whatever they say. and-
Again, if it's not a criminal matter, there's only so much we can do. And if she's not,
Exposed is criminal, right?
say that again?
Being outside exposed.
Oh, yeah, they took care of that, and that's something that I couldn't comment that the mayor talked about.
Okay. 'Cause I was the one-
There's certain things that are HIPAA-related that I can't talk about in an open forum.
It just seemed like the officer, when he came, he's like, hello, ma'am, you're outside with the pants on, go away. I didn't see him take down her name.
We know who she is, believe me.
I just want to make sure it was documented.
Oh, yeah.
because, you know, like I said, it didn't seem like information was gathered.
No,
And
no.
it just kind of went away, and she was allowed to go in the house. I thought, well, if I went outside with no pants on, I'm sure there would have been more repercussions probably for me than just go in the house and put clothes on, right? Like,
I can't say I wasn't there.
okay, I just want to make sure, like I said.
Oh, yeah, it's documented.
Have been done.
Absolutely.
This lady, does she by chance seal driveways?
She does.
I make that report. Yeah, I'm the one that does that report.
Paints the road with tar.
She painted her truck too.
Oh, yeah.
All right, anyone else?
So obviously we know things.
Yeah,
That's good. We're
Can I
glad.
say something now?
go ahead.
It has nothing to do with, this.
Well, wait a minute, there's somebody else coming up. Hold on.
Jeff Matthews, Crest Haven Drive. If I can understand what you're suggesting we do, the single most important thing we can do is call the magistrate tomorrow and ask him to put this on a hearing. Or are you gonna refile?
Well, that I don't know. But,
Let me,
yeah,
let me give you a little bit of insight what happened with the magistrate's office. Since Judge Zucco retired, they have had magistrates sitting in temporarily, rotating through that office. So there are some things that fell through the cracks. Now you have an elected official in there, so I'm sure it'll be addressed.
Training is done, he's licensed, good to go.
I give you my word, I will contact the magistrate personally, and I will let him know what went on here tonight, and I will, hopefully, he will agree to see that, and I don't see why he wouldn't.
The only thing to add, and it's not repetitive to your wishes, a house across the street it sold, and there's a diminution of value that's realized now. The real estate agent said it probably cost him $20,000–$30,000, and that's a lot of money for somebody who's putting up with that stuff and then being on the receiving end of a lower price. We appreciate you listening. You probably, nice to meet you for the first time. You've probably taken a million calls. But just going back, there was one citation given last year and nothing since?
So I think in my conversation with Mr. Russo, I think we agree in the last 2 years, we've probably seen changes in the behavior of the homeowner. There have been a number of police reports, like the chief said, but I think the first citation issued was in the summer of 2023. Unfortunately, like I said, it did not get scheduled. And now, like Lanny said, we have a full-time elected official there, and there should be no reason for it not to be scheduled.
And then, the other thing is, we've called the Department of Aging, the county. I believe the county, it's gone to a county magistrate. Is there such a thing, Bruce, to your knowledge? And it's on the docket, whatever you see online, and there's been fines levied up to, I think, $14,000. Somebody say that earlier? Maybe not. So, yeah, there's other things going on too, but.
It's tough to realize those, they levy these things, and, you'll never collect $14,000.
And I know you don't want to be in the business of owning a home either.
No, and I don't think the goal here is to find the person. The goal ultimately is to have the house cleaned up. So which is the right way to go? Is finding her the way to do it? It may be the start of the process to get it done. But, I think we agree that, she needs a little more help than, just getting a fine from the magistrate.
And there was an incident where an ambulance was called, this is going back a couple of years, and they had to literally drag her out because they couldn't get in the door. So as you can guess, the inside is probably worse than the outside. But thank you for your time, and I appreciate it. If you follow up and let us know what happened.
Yes, we will, I guarantee it.
If you need us to call them, we'd be more than happy to.
Yeah, you're not creating hassles or issues by calling 911. Like I said, that adds to the case if we have to go the legal route. That adds to our case of the incidents and the police responding.
As I leave here today, the best way we can get out of this is the magistrate's receptive, has a hearing, makes a declaration of some sort, and the borough says, we got to clean it up. We'll help you put the stuff in the dumpsters, take it away.
From the time that the magistrate makes a decision or hears the case, she can then appeal it. So, like I said at the beginning,
If you have
we're
the
not,
wherewithal or the funds to do so.
we're probably not talking weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, at least there's some kind of light at the end of that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
I have a question. If code enforcement could get inside that house, you'd have to be invited in. And if it's declared.
This is one of the avenues that we're going through the magistrate before we get to that point, yes.
Can I come? Thank you. Mine has nothing to do with that issue. Mine has to do with something really, really good for the borough. What happened was, hello, my name is Robert Porco, 530 Dell Avenue, Plum Boro, Logan's Ferry Heights area. What I would like to do is propose something here that hasn't been proposed before. Building an ecology park for Plum Boro. Now, there will be no cost at all to Plum Boro at all, zero, because I already have the grants and everything else like that. And I also have a little sketch here of what I'd like to do. I also have all the grant applications, everything like that, there. And, and the place where it would be is an old golf course here that's been up for sale for over 30 years, and no one has really done anything with the land.
What golf course is that?
The little
Golf Oasis.
Little golf oasis, yes, because I already talked.
366.
Yeah.
367.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, it would be something that we could look at. It has water stream by it. It has a water inlet. It has a water outlet. And we can make a walking path, pavilions, restrooms. I drew up a little drawing here. Dave C. asked me how much money would it cost. I said, well, it's not going to cost anything because I already did the legwork on this.
So what grant have we received for this?
Well, no, we can get it because I already called about it and they already went through the whole process.
So what grant is that?
Well, it's the planning policy grant. They apply for the DCNR grant, opportunity grants. We also have the grant here for the PDI, the ownership, the funding source, up to $1 million, and searching for data for Pennsylvania groundwater information systems, spring data, and everything like that. But I called Joe McAndrew's office and I did some research there, and the lady called me back. She said, "Oh yes, we have grant money for you." So I said,
So it's that easy? We just go ahead and get they hand it to us?
Wait a minute, who owns the property?
We don't own the property.
"We don't own the property." No, the thing is, you don't tip your hand and go, "Hey, I'm going to go buy this product." But what we can do, and I thought about it there. Now this is really benefit not only for Plum Boro, but also for the schools, for the school children. There, they can learn about water temperature, soil erosion, STEM for the classrooms, and then I also did a little research there about New Ken Penn State New Kent. They also have an ecology program there that we might want to look at with them. But this will be no charge at all to the borough. And we don't own the land yet, but like I said, you never tip your hand. Now, you also make money doing this here. Now, this will probably be a 50-year, you know, just for ecology and everything like that, that people can come, walk their dogs, you know, it would improve the lights and everything else like that. But I did most of the work there. I don't know how to buy the land and for the borough or anything like that, so I don't know anything like that. That would have to be Mr. Dice and.
So there's a cost to buy the land. I thought it was free.
Well, you get grant money. I'm sorry, I haven't met you yet.
So one of the problems is, number one, in order to apply for a grant like this, you have to own the land. We don't own the land. The second problem is this land is zoned highway commercial. This is not a use accepted in the highway commercial zoning district. So there's a zoning problem. It's not an accepted use in that zoning district.
Okay.
We do have areas that are zoned for parks, municipal parks. But I think you need to go back and re-examine the grant process. You know, so McAndrew's office said, yes, there's DCNR money.
Right.
So have you seen the DCNR application?
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't own the land. I mean, we don't even know what the ground is like under that land. There's no geotechnical information for that land. Right, so, I mean, there's a lot of things you'd have to look at to do that, but the number one issue you have is we don't own the land and it's not an accepted zoning use in that zoning district.
Okay. Well, it's just gonna be a vacant piece of land there. It's been there for 30 years. No one's used it in 30 years. So, I mean, it's something we might wanna look at or something like that. It's up to the borough. But like I said, we don't own the land, but we own a lot of other land where we could still do this project there. And getting the money and everything like that, getting the grant money and stuff like that. Okay, so that's just one area, but there's other areas in the borough we could do this in. There.
We have a project, Center Beach, that we're doing the exact same thing. We're in the process of getting the permits. We're in the process of talking to some of the landowners above the land, and that's exactly what we have planned for Center Beach.
Where's Center Beach at?
Right down by, you know where Benora's cabinet shop is? On 380?
Okay.
Where the old Center Beach pool was?
Okay.
Right there.
All right. Well, I mean, but I have.
Yeah, so the plan for that property is to be an area where we hold stormwater back, you know, on that hillside, but at the same time, there's an educational component to it, which I think is what you're looking for.
Right, and
Right.
that you'd be able to do something like this.
Right.
Because you guys don't own that land either, so you're still gonna be.
We do own that land.
You do own that.
Yes.
We do own the land. We're in the process now of getting all the permits. We've had conceptual drawings of it, and that's exactly what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a walking trail and things like that. And when there's major floods, it'll be a stormwater holding pond, and then it will dissipate out. And it'll help everybody down along Unity Center and down in Below Boys Park.
All right, you know, like I said, I found out all this stuff here and I looked around and getting stuff there. So, okay, so you guys are trying something else, okay. Yeah. But, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Brittany Verzinski. This is my husband, Joe Verzinski. We both live at 830 Garlow Boulevard. And the house that was next to us, it was a abandoned house for quite some time. And recently it was torn down. I believe it was January of 2023. One day we were sitting in our backyard not too long ago, and we noticed that there is a tree that is falling from the other lot, 826 Garlow Boulevard, falling towards our lot. It is being hung up by vines, and it is pretty much out of the ground.
Yeah, we reached out to the borough. They said that because it is hanging on our property, that we could cut off whatever's hanging on our property. The problem is, it's not attached to anything. I can't just cut off what's hanging off my property. So, I mean, The borough maintains the lot. My understanding is they don't want anything to do with the
We
street.
do not maintain the lot.
Who cuts the grass? The borough.
So you're right, we did demolish that house. It was probably 2021.
That was last year.
It was last year. We moved in,
No, so we were in court with these people, so I can find the date for you, but, so yes, you know, unfortunately, when we demolish houses, we have this problem that remains then, you know, there's grass that grows there. In some places, we're lucky, the neighbors come and they cut the grass and they maintain, they want it to look nice. Maybe that's not the case in this area. There are a number of lots around the borough where 2 or 3 times a year we'll come through and cut it, just to get the weeds down. We're not cutting it and manicuring it like a lawn, but we're trying to cut it so that there are less complaints. We do not own the property. Your situation that we have, we probably have 40 or 50 complaints like this a year, where someone says, my neighbor's tree is growing over the property. Now, most of the time, there's a neighbor that's living there that has a house, and you know, it's a civil issue. You know, we don't get involved with that. If the tree is hanging over your property line, whether it's attached to the property or not, you can cut that. There's no doubt about that. But you know, we don't own that property. And you know, if we were to set a precedent by coming out and cutting this tree, you know, we're going to open ourselves up for a whole lot of people who want us to do the same in a number of areas. So I did drive by the house and saw the tree I saw was more toward the rear near your shed. I don't think, you know, while I say you can cut it, no, obviously you can, it's a pretty big tree. I don't think we could cut it. You know, we do some tree maintenance. We'd have to hire another company to come in and do it. But our consistent answer has been that we don't own the property and we're not going to cut that tree. Like I said, normally there's someone there you can argue with, and there still is. Someone still owns that property that you can file a complaint against at the magistrate's office. And that owner information is public information. I'm more than happy to share that with you.
If it took you 20 years to demolish the house, I imagine you've been going back and forth for 20 years, and I don't have 20 years to wait for the tree to come down.
Well, yeah, I think there was a divorce there.
That's what you're in store for, 20 years. Wait for it.
Yes.
I also question it because it's a safety issue.
I mean, you tore down a shed that the people who demolished the house left the shed standing, and the borough came in and moved the shed. Is that precedence? Does the borough usually move sheds?
Well, we normally demolish, when we do a contract, I think what happened there, the contractor in our contract said everything gets removed from the property. In this case.
They didn't do it.
Well, we made them go back, yeah, or else we went back and did it, yeah.
The borough came back.
But typically, everything that's on the property is taken down.
So here's my next question. The tree that I can cut down, am I allowed on their property to cut it down?
I'm not going to give you legal advice. I mean,
I can't sit here and tell you yes, but I know
But I
that.
can't.
If you think it's going to affect your property, use your best judgment.
Well, there's no doubt it's going to affect my property.
It's also going to affect
But
the
am I
safety.
allowed on their property? If you don't own it, they don't, who owns it?
If there's no one living there to tell you to get off my property,
Well, who's to say they're not going to show up that day? Who's to say they're not going to pull up and tell me?
They haven't been there in
well,
20 years.
now you know who the owner is and you can take them to court, but
It's not our joke.
I would say, I mean,
The fact that you maintain the property, and then if something goes wrong, you don't want to maintain it.
We don't maintain
You
it.
do maintain the property.
No, we do not.
Who cuts the grass?
That's not maintaining.
We've cut the
How is
grass.
that not maintaining the property?
That's keeping it orderly. That's not maintaining.
Okay, we've cut the grass maybe 2 times out of the year because it's gonna be high grass and no one's gonna do it. That's not maintaining the property. We go in and we cut it because you'd be back here again, or one of the other neighbors saying, there's an abandoned property, because we get it all the time, that the grass is getting high, something needs to be done. So we do that, we charge that to the property and we lien it.
Next question, if the tree falls, the tree should fall, and should injure someone, who's liable for it?
Well, if it's on your property, you
The tree
are.
is not on my property.
If
tree is on their
if the
property.
tree falls on your
It's them on
property,
the property.
okay.
We have a property owner.
sure, the county lists the property owner.
I mean, that's what you should do. You should contact the property owner.
There's no one to contact. I mean, they put their name down, what am I supposed to do? How do I find them? They haven't been there for 20+ years, how am I to find them? Hire a detective?
The county website has the property owner on it.
That's it. It has their address, 826 Garland Boulevard. There is no 826 Garland Boulevard. So
They
who do I
don't have an
contact?
address- They don't have a mail-to address for their taxes? I know they're not paying taxes, but I mean,
As far as I know, no.
So, not that you want to hear this, but one of the things that you can do, if you're interested in taking over that property, Allegheny County has a program called the Vacant Property Program. Now, one of the criteria for it is that property at least 3 years tax delinquent? Well, yes, times 6, right? So you can make an application, with the county. Now, that, like anything else, these things take a while. So, yeah, it
They
takes
looked into it. It says it's gonna take at least a year.
at least a year. You're
We
correct.
contacted the county and had no one
Okay.
ever respond back. Called, emailed, everything.
So if you're interested in that program, I can certainly help move that forward. Unfortunately with the county, there's always a change of, we've gone through 5 different people to run that program, but I can put you in touch with the right people for that program if you're interested in making application. More than happy to help you with that.
But the tree's a no-go, huh?
It's not on our property.
if they haven't been around in all these years, I'd take the risk of going and cut the damn thing down and just.
I understand that. I totally get that.
Just move on.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what
And
you're
it's
saying.
costing you, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
but it's,
yeah. The problem is, like I said, everybody who's reached out to me is like, just whatever branch is, the problem is it's not a branch.
Not just a.
no,
You
I'm
know what I
saying,
mean? Yeah, I know what you're saying, but that was the issue I had, that it's
It is
literally
big.
a whole
There's
tree.
no doubt it's
Yeah.
big.
And it's not like me just lopping off a branch and walking away and
Right.
chopping it up. I would have to go on their property to do anything, because the simple fact is, the trunk and everything it just rotted away.
Right.
I couldn't just like lop off this side, it's gonna like a slingshot. It's just gonna end over end most likely. It was just a branch, I get it, I mean, that's what I had to do. The fact that it was a tree just made it a little more labor intensive, and that's not what I do.
yeah, understood.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, motion to adjourn? I have a motion by Mr. Majernik and a second by Mr. Taylor. All those in favor? Motion's adjourned. We are
Good luck, sir.